She saved a stranger's life with a whispered warning across a restaurant table. What she didn't know, he was a mafia boss, and that one act of kindness had just painted a target on her back that no amount of running could erase. Anna had learned 3 things working the night shift at Bellini's. Drunk men tipped better, couples on first dates always ordered too much, and everyone lied about something. The man in the corner booth was lying right now. She'd been watching him for 20 minutes, not because he was attractive, though he had that sharp-jawed, expensive cologne look that usually came with an attitude. No, she watched him because something felt wrong. He'd ordered a single bourbon at 11:47 p.m. Hadn't touched it. His menu sat closed on the table, but his eyes never stopped moving. They tracked the dining room like a security camera, lingering longest on the booth by the window where another man sat alone, cutting into a perfect medium-rare steak. Anna refilled water glasses at table 6, her worn sneakers silent on the tile floor. The dinner rush had ended an hour ago. Only 8 customers remained, scattered across the restaurant like chess pieces. The kitchen was winding down. She could hear Marco arguing with the dishwasher about tomorrow's delivery. Normal night. Almost. The man by the window, Luca Marino, though she only knew his name from the credit card receipts, came in twice a week. Always alone. Always polite. Always left a 30% tip and a "thank you, miss" that felt genuine. He never rushed her, never snapped his fingers, never complained. In the service industry, that made him a unicorn. But the man in the corner booth? He made her skin crawl. She caught her reflection in the brass coat rack near the host stand. Dark circles under her eyes, blonde hair escaping its ponytail, sauce stain on her apron she'd stopped caring about hours ago. 26 years old and pulling doubles to cover her mom's medical bills. This was supposed to be temporary. 3 years ago. Focus, Anna. Corner booth guy shifted in his seat. His right hand disappeared under the table, fingers sliding toward his jacket. Anna's pulse kicked up. She'd grown up in South Boston, where you learned to read people fast or you didn't survive middle school. This wasn't paranoia. This was instinct. She glanced at Luca. He was checking his phone, completely unaware. The golden light from the vintage chandelier cast soft shadows across his face, probably mid-30s, dark hair graying slightly at the temples, the kind of calm that came from money or power or both. Corner booth guy's jaw tightened. His hand moved deeper into his jacket. Oh God. Anna's training kicked in before her brain caught up. She grabbed her serving tray, moving toward Luca's booth with practiced casualness. Her heart hammered against her ribs, but her face stayed neutral. Smile. Always smile. How is everything tonight, Mr. Marino? Her voice came out steady. Professional. Luca looked up, offering that slight, genuine smile. Excellent as always. She leaned forward, pretending to adjust empty plates on his table. Her hand trembled slightly as she reached for his water glass. Don't shout, she whispered, barely moving her lips. Her eyes flicked to the corner. Corner booth. Jacket. Luca's expression didn't change, but something shifted in his eyes. Something cold and calculating that made him look like a completely different person. He set down his phone slowly. Thank you for the excellent service tonight, Anna. He knew her name. She'd never told him her name. Before she could process that, Luca made a subtle gesture with his left hand, just a small movement, fingers curling in a specific pattern. Anna heard the soft scrape of chairs from 2 different tables. 2 men she'd assumed were regular customers stood up simultaneously, moving with frightening purpose toward the corner booth. Corner booth guy's eyes widened. His hand jerked upward. But Luca's men were already there. One grabbed his wrist, slamming it down on the table. The other moved behind him, blocking any escape. The whole thing took maybe 3 seconds. Silent. Surgical. Anna stumbled backward, her tray clattering against Luca's table. Easy, Luca said quietly, standing. He moved between her and the corner booth, his body a wall. Marco, he called toward the kitchen. Take your staff to the back. Gas leak. Everyone out.
Now.
Marco appeared in the kitchen doorway, took one look at the scene, and nodded. You heard the man.
Kitchen now.
Move. The other diners scattered, confused but obedient. Anna stood frozen as the restaurant emptied around her. At the corner booth, one of Luca's men pulled something from the stranger's jacket. Even from 15 feet away, Anna recognized the shape. A gun. Black metal, compact. Professional. Her knees went weak. Breathe, Luca said, not looking at her. His attention stayed fixed on the corner booth, where his men were zip-tying the stranger's hands behind his back. You're safe. You did good. I don't. Who are you? Someone who owes you his life. Luca finally turned to face her. Up close, his eyes were darker than she'd thought. Intelligent. Dangerous. Go home, Anna. Take the back exit. My man will make sure you get there safely. Your man? Mr. Marino, I don't understand. You will. He pulled a business card from his pocket, pressing it into her shaking hand. Tomorrow. But tonight, you need to leave. Trust me. One of his men appeared at her elbow. Young, maybe 30, built like he lived in a gym.
Come on, miss.
Let's get you home. Anna let herself be guided toward the kitchen, her mind spinning. She glanced back once. Lucas stood perfectly still, watching his men drag the corner booth guy toward the back delivery entrance. The would-be assassin's face was pale, terrified. But Lucas' expression was carved from stone. In that moment, Anna understood two things with perfect clarity. She'd just saved someone very dangerous. And her normal life was over. Anna's apartment building smelled like old carpet and someone's burnt dinner. She climbed the 3 flights of stairs on autopilot, her legs moving while her brain tried to process the last 2 hours. A gun. There had been a gun. The bodyguard, she'd learned his name was Tony during the silent car ride, had dropped her off with a curt nod and a lock your door, then he'd driven away in a black SUV that probably cost more than she'd make in 5 years. She fumbled with her keys, hands still shaking. The deadbolt clicked. Chain lock. She kicked off her sneakers and leaned against the door, closing her eyes. What the hell just happened? Her studio apartment was exactly as she'd left it that morning. Unmade bed shoved against one wall, tiny kitchenette with dishes in the sink, her mom's medical bills stacked on the coffee table she'd found on the street. The window air conditioner rattled, fighting Boston's October chill. Normal. Everything looked so goddamn normal. Except nothing was normal anymore. Anna pulled out her phone with trembling fingers. She should call someone. The police? And say what? That her regular customer had men with guns who stopped another man with a gun? That sounded insane. That sounded like she was making it up, or high, or both. Besides, Luca had said gas leak. Marco had gone along with it immediately, no questions asked. Like he knew. Like this had happened before. She dropped onto her sagging couch, still wearing her sauce-stained uniform. The business card Lisa had given her sat in her palm. Heavy cardstock, cream-colored, expensive. Just a name, Luca Marino, and a phone number. No title. No company. Who was he? Anna grabbed her laptop, typing his name into Google with sauce still crusted under her fingernails. The search results made her stomach drop. Luca Marino, Boston businessman and philanthropist. Marino family acquires waterfront property. Marino Industries expands into construction. Photos of him at charity galas, wearing tuxedos, shaking hands with the mayor. Nothing suspicious. Nothing illegal. Just a rich guy doing rich guy things. But the way those men had moved tonight, the way that assassin's face had gone white with fear, that wasn't businessman energy. That was something else entirely. Anna was halfway through her 3rd search page when someone knocked on her door. 3 firm raps. Confident. Demanding. Her blood turned to ice. She sat frozen, laptop screen glowing in the dark apartment. Maybe if she stayed quiet, they'd go away. Maybe. Anna, Luca's voice, muffled through the door. I know you're awake. I can see your light. Her heart jackhammered. How did he know where she lived? Stupid question. He had men with guns. Of course he knows where you live. I just want to talk, he continued. 5 minutes. Then I'll leave. Anna stood slowly, padding to the door in her socks. She looked through the peephole. Luca stood in the hallway, alone except for one man behind him, the same bodyguard who'd been at the restaurant. Luca had changed clothes. Gone was the expensive suit. Now he wore dark jeans and a black leather jacket, looking less like a businessman and more like, well, exactly what he probably was. She unhooked the chain lock but kept the deadbolt engaged, opening the door a crack. It's almost 1 a.m. I know. I'm sorry, he looked genuinely apologetic. But you deserve answers. May I come in? Every instinct screamed no. But she'd already saved his life. Already seen his men drag away an assassin. Already memorized his damn phone number.
She was already involved.
Anna opened the door. Luca stepped inside, glancing around her cramped apartment with an expression she couldn't read. Not judgment exactly, maybe understanding. His bodyguard stayed in the hallway, arms crossed. Nice place, Luca said quietly. Liar, Anna crossed her arms. You didn't come here at 1 a.m. to compliment my decorating. Who are you? Really? Luca moved to her window, looking out at the dark street below. The man you warned me about tonight, his name is Vincent Calabrese. He works for the Russo family. They sent him to kill me. Anna's throat went dry. Kill you?
Why?
Business dispute, he said it like he was discussing the weather. The Russos want control of the waterfront development project. I wouldn't negotiate. So they decided to eliminate the problem. Business dispute, Anna repeated slowly. With assassins. Luca turned to face her. In the dim light of her apartment, he looked older. Tired. I'm going to be honest with you, Anna, because you saved my life and you deserve that much. I run operations in Boston that aren't strictly legal. My family has been in this business for 3 generations. The word he didn't say hung in the air between them. Mafia. Oh my God. Anna sat down hard on her couch. You're actually a businessman, Luca finished calmly, who sometimes conducts business in unconventional ways. That's a hell of a euphemism for organized crime. A slight smile tugged at his mouth. I prefer family business, the smile faded. But here's the problem. Vincent didn't work alone. The Russos know someone warned me. They have eyes everywhere, including at Bellini's. By now, they know it was you. Anna's stomach dropped. What does that mean? Luca pulled an envelope from his jacket, setting it on her coffee table.
$22,000.
Enough to disappear for a few months.
New city, new job.
My people will make sure you're protected. She stared at the envelope like it might bite her. You're paying me to leave. I'm paying you to survive, his voice hardened. The Russos don't leave loose ends, Anna. You made yourself a target the second you whispered in my ear. Anger flared hot in her chest. I saved your life. I know. And now I'm trying to save yours. He moved toward the door, then paused. Be careful who you talk to about tonight. Trust no one. If you see anything suspicious, anything, you call that number. Day or night. Wait, Anna stood, her mind racing. What if I don't want to run? Luca studied her for a long moment. Then you're braver than I thought. Or more foolish, he opened the door. Lock this behind me. And Anna, get better locks. Then he was gone, his bodyguard falling into step behind him. Anna locked the door with shaking hands, staring at the envelope on her coffee table. Outside, a car engine started. Drove away. She was alone with $20,000 in cash and the creeping certainty that her life had just been split into 2 parts, before tonight and everything that came after. Anna didn't take the money. The envelope sat unopened on her coffee table all night while she stared at her ceiling, too wired to sleep. By 6 a.m., she'd made her decision. She wasn't running. She'd spent 3 years running. From her ex, from her mistakes, from the life she'd thought she'd have. She was done running. Besides, where would she even go? Her mom was in a nursing home in Quincy. Her entire life was here, as small and messy as it was. So she showered, put on her uniform, and went to work. Marco nearly dropped his spatula when she walked into Bellini's at 5 p.m.
Jesus Christ, Ana.
You okay? He rushed over, his weathered face creased with concern. After last night, I thought. I'm fine, she tied her apron, avoiding his eyes. Gas leak, right? Everyone's fine. Marco lowered his voice. That wasn't a gas leak. I know. Anna. I need this job, Marco. She finally looked at him. I need normal.
Can you give me that?
Just for tonight. He studied her for a long moment, then nodded slowly. Your section is tables 1 through 6. We're light tonight. Thursday crowd. She squeezed his arm gratefully and headed to the floor. The dinner shift started normally enough. A couple celebrating an anniversary at table 3. A businessman with his laptop at table 5. An elderly woman who ordered soup and complained about the temperature. Normal. Blessedly, beautifully normal. Except for the black sedan parked across the street. Anna first noticed it when she was refilling water glasses. The car sat under a broken street light, engine running, exhaust puffing into the October air. 2 men inside. One was smoking. The other had his phone pointed at the restaurant entrance. Her hands trembled, sloshing water onto the tablecloth. Sweetie, you okay? The anniversary woman asked.
Sorry.
I'm so sorry. Anna mopped up the water with a napkin, forcing a smile. Be right back with your entrees. She ducked into the kitchen, heart pounding. Through the small window in the door, she watched the sedan. Still there. Still running. The man with the phone hadn't moved. Anna? Marco appeared beside her. What's wrong? Nothing. I'm fine, but her voice cracked. Marco followed her gaze to the sedan. His jaw tightened. How long has that car been there? I don't know. 20 minutes. He pulled out his phone, fingers moving quickly across the screen. Anna didn't ask who he was texting. She had a pretty good idea. Stay inside, Marco said quietly. I'll handle the trash tonight. Marco, you don't have to. Stay. Inside, his tone left no room for argument. But at 9 p.m., the kitchen got slammed with a sudden rush. Marco was drowning in orders, yelling at the line cooks, and 3 full bags of trash sat by the back door. The smell was getting rank. Anna grabbed the bags before she could overthink it. 2 minutes, she muttered to herself. Dumpster and back. That's it. The alley behind Bellini's was narrow and dark, lit only by a single flickering bulb above the door. The dumpster sat 15 feet away, surrounded by puddles that never fully dried and the faint smell of rotting produce. Anna had made this walk 1,000 times. Tonight, it felt like walking off a cliff. She hurled the first bag into the dumpster, then the second. The crash echoed off the brick walls. She turned to head back inside. Footsteps.
Slow.
Deliberate. Coming from the mouth of the alley. Anna's blood turned to ice. A man stepped into view, silhouetted against the streetlight beyond.
Tall.
Broad-shouldered. Hands in his jacket pockets. Evening, he said. His voice was smooth. Casual.
Terrifying.
Anna's hand found her pocket, closing around her keys. The little canister of pepper spray her mom had given her was in her locker. Useless. Restaurants closed, she said, trying to keep her voice steady. I'm not hungry, he took another step closer. I just want to talk. I'm not interested, she edged toward the door. The man moved to block her path. It'll just take a minute. About what you saw last night. A car engine roared to life. Headlights flooded the alley, bright and blinding. A gray SUV screeched to a stop at the alley's entrance, blocking the man's escape route. 2 men jumped out. One of them was Tony, Luca's bodyguard from last night. The stranger's casual demeanor shattered. He spun, reaching for something in his jacket. Don't. Tony's voice was cold steel. His hand rested on something under his own jacket. Walk away.
Now.
The stranger's eyes flicked between Tony, Anna, and the other bodyguard. Calculating. Then he slowly raised his hands and backed away, melting into the darkness beyond the alley. Anna's legs gave out. She caught herself against the brick wall, gasping. Tony approached carefully, hands visible. You okay, miss? What? How did you? We've been watching the Watchers, he glanced at his partner. Check the perimeter, the other man nodded and disappeared. You've been following me? Anger cut through Anna's fear. All day. Mr. Marino's orders. For your protection. I didn't ask for protection. You don't have to ask. Tony's expression softened slightly. That man? He works for the Russos. Same family that sent the shooter last night. They're not going to stop, Anna. Not until they get what they want.
Which is what?
Me dead. Information. Leverage. Tony pulled out his phone, typing quickly. Or yes, maybe dead. Depends on their mood. Anna wanted to scream. Or cry. Or both. Instead, she pushed off the wall and headed for the door. I need to finish my shift. Anna. Thank you for the help. Really? But I need. Her voice broke. I need to go back to normal. Just for one more hour. Please. Tony studied her, then nodded slowly. We'll be outside. You see anything weird, you come straight to us. Understood. She nodded and slipped back into the kitchen. Marco took one look at her face and handed her a glass of water. He didn't ask questions. Through the kitchen window, Anna watched the gray SUV park across from the black sedan. A silent standoff under the streetlights. The envelope of money sat unopened at home. But running was starting to sound a lot more reasonable. The text came Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Meet me at Rosie's Cafe. 10 a.m. We need to talk. LM. Anna stared at her phone, still in bed. She hadn't slept well in 2 days. Every car engine outside her window made her jump. Every footstep in the hallway sent her heart racing. She should ignore the text. Block the number.
Pretend none of this was happening.
Instead, she got dressed. Rosie's Cafe was a hole-in-the-wall place 3 blocks from her apartment. Chipped mugs, mismatched chairs, coffee that tasted like it had been brewed in 1987. The opposite of the sleek Italian restaurant where this nightmare had started. Luca sat in the back corner booth, wearing a simple gray sweater and jeans. No bodyguards visible, though Anna suspected they were nearby. He looked almost normal. Almost. Thanks for coming, he gestured to the seat across from him. I ordered you a coffee. Cream, 2 sugars. Anna froze halfway to the table. How do you know how I take my coffee? I pay attention, a slight smile. You always made it the same way during your breaks at Bellini's. She sat down slowly, unsettled. That's either thoughtful or creepy. Probably both. He pushed the mug toward her. How are you holding up? Oh, fantastic. I love being stalked by mobsters. Really adds excitement to my life. The sarcasm came out sharper than she intended. Luca didn't flinch. I know you're scared. You have every right to be. Scared? Anna laughed bitterly.
I'm terrified.
I can't sleep. I can't think. Yesterday, I almost pepper-sprayed the mailman because he knocked too loud. She leaned forward, lowering her voice. I saved your life, and now mine is falling apart. So forgive me if I'm not in the mood for coffee and small talk. You're right, Luca's expression grew serious. Which is why I wanted to meet somewhere neutral. Somewhere we could talk honestly, he paused. No more euphemisms. No more businessman bullshit. You deserve the truth. Anna wrapped her hands around the warm mug. Okay. Truth. My family has controlled certain operations in Boston for 40 years. Legitimate businesses, restaurants, construction, real estate. But also other things. Protection. Loans. Territory. He met her eyes steadily. I inherited this empire when my father died 5 years ago. I didn't choose it, but I accepted it. And I've been trying to keep it from turning into a war ever since. The Russos want war. The Russos want everything. They've been pushing into our territory for months. Bribing city officials, intimidating our partners, undercutting our contracts. His jaw tightened. Vincent Calabrese wasn't the first attempt on my life. He was the 4th. Anna's coffee suddenly tasted like ash. 4th. I've survived 3 car bombs, 2 shootings, and now a restaurant assassination, he said it matter-of-factly, like he was listing grocery items. Your warning saved me, because Vincent was smart. He waited.
Studied my patterns.
Learned I travel with minimal security to Bellini's because I thought it was safe. It was safe. Until I opened my mouth. No, Luca's voice turned fierce. You saved my life. Don't twist that into something else. But now the Russos know about me. They know I'm... She couldn't finish the sentence. A witness. A variable. Someone who could testify if I go to war with them. Luca leaned back, running a hand through his hair. They're watching you to see if you're important to me. If you're leverage. Am I important to you? The question hung in the air. You should be irrelevant, Luca said quietly. A waitress who happened to be observant. But he trailed off, something complicated crossing his face. You risked everything to warn a stranger.
You didn't panic.
You didn't freeze. You just acted. That kind of courage is rare. Anna felt heat creep up her neck. I just did what anyone would do. Most people look away. You looked closer. He pulled out another envelope, thinner than the first. 50,000. New identity papers. A contact in Seattle who can set you up with a job and an apartment. You could be gone by Monday. She pushed the envelope back across the table.
No.
Anna. I'm not running. Her voice was steady now. My mom is here. She has early onset Alzheimer's. I visit her every Sunday. She barely remembers me most days, but I'm all she has. Tears pricked her eyes, but she blinked them back. I can't just disappear. I won't. Luca studied her for a long moment. Then what do you want? I want my life back. I want to go to work without being followed. I want to sleep without nightmares, she laughed shakily. I want to stop being a pawn in someone else's war. I can't give you that. Not yet, he leaned forward. But I can protect you. Full security detail. Safe house if needed. New locks, security system.
No.
Anna, be reasonable. I can take care of myself, she stood up, grabbing her jacket. I've been doing it for 26 years. I don't need a mafia bodyguard following me to the grocery store. Luca stood too, frustration flashing across his face. Your independence won't stop a bullet. Maybe not. But I'm not becoming a prisoner in my own life either, she met his eyes. You want to help? Find whoever's watching me and make them stop. End this war before someone else gets hurt. But don't ask me to hide. She walked out before he could respond. Outside, the autumn air bit at her cheeks. Her hands were shaking from adrenaline or fear, or maybe just exhaustion. A gray SUV was parked across the street. Tony sat in the driver's seat, watching her. Anna flipped him off and started walking home. Inside the cafe, Luca pulled out his phone and dialed.
Boss.
Tony's voice came through. Double the detail. Round-the-clock surveillance. I want eyes on her apartment, her work, her mother's facility. Luca watched Anna's retreating figure through the window. She doesn't want protection. Give it to her anyway. Yes, sir. Anything else? Luca smiled slightly.
Yeah.
Stay out of sight. She's got a hell of a right hook, and she's stubborn enough to use it. He hung up, leaving cash on the table for both untouched coffees. The war was coming whether Anna wanted it or not. At least he could make sure she survived it. Anna should have called in sick. The Saturday dinner shift at Bellini's started normal enough. Couples, families, the usual weekend crowd. But by 7 p.m., something felt off. You noticed the guy at table 8? Jessica, the other waitress on shift, whispered as they crossed paths near the host stand. She was 22, art school dropout, usually worried about her tips and nothing else. He's been here an hour. Ordered an appetizer and hasn't touched it. Anna glanced over. Mid-30s, dark jacket, sitting alone by the window. His eyes tracked every person who entered, but he never looked at his phone or read the menu. Just watched. Maybe he's waiting for someone, Anna said, but her stomach tightened. Maybe, Jessica didn't sound convinced. But there's another one at table 12 doing the same thing. And one outside, smoking the same cigarette for 20 minutes. Anna's blood went cold. She looked at table 12, different man, same energy. Alert. Watching.
Wrong.
They're probably just. Anna, Jessica's voice dropped. What happened Thursday night? Marco won't tell me anything, but I heard the police came. And now these guys, she trailed off, eyes wide. Are you in some kind of trouble?
No.
I mean, it's complicated, Anna forced a smile. Just keep your head down, okay? Don't engage with them. Jessica looked like she wanted to argue, but the host seated a new party in her section. She hurried off, casting worried glances back at the window tables. Anna retreated to the kitchen, her heart pounding. Marco was plating salmon, his movements sharp and angry. You see them? She asked quietly. Hard to miss, he didn't look up. 3 inside. 2 outside. They've been rotating since we opened. Marco, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean for. Not your fault, he finally met her eyes. But this can't continue. My other staff are scared. Customers are noticing. This is a restaurant, not he gestured helplessly. Whatever this is. The kitchen door swung open. Jessica poked her head in, face pale. Anna? Table 14 wants you specifically. Who's at 14? Just come look. Anna's legs felt like lead as she walked back to the dining room. Table 14 was the corner booth, Luca's usual spot. And there he sat, menu open, completely calm, like this was any other Saturday night. Their eyes met across the restaurant. His expression was unreadable, but something in his posture, the set of his shoulders, the way his hands rested on the table, radiated controlled tension. He was here for a reason. Anna grabbed her order pad and approached, hyper-aware of the watchers tracking her movement. The man at table 8 leaned forward slightly. The one at 12 shifted in his seat. The entire restaurant suddenly felt like a powder keg. Mr. Marino. She kept her voice professional. Welcome back. Anna, his tone was warm, but his eyes were cold steel. I apologize for the short notice. I hope a table was available. Always a table for our regulars, the script felt absurd. They both knew this wasn't about dinner. Excellent, he closed the menu without looking at it. The usual, please. And perhaps you could check if we have that special Chianti from Thursday night? The one from the corner storage. Corner storage. The corner booth, where Vincent had Saturday. Anna's pen trembled. I'll check with Marco. As she turned away, Luca's hand caught her wrist, gentle but firm. Be careful tonight, he murmured. Things might get complicated. She pulled away and fled to the kitchen. He's here, she told Marco. I know. Marco was already on his phone. Stay in the kitchen. I'll handle his table. No, Anna surprised herself. He asked for me specifically. If I hide, it'll look suspicious. Marco studied her, then nodded reluctantly. Keep your head down. Don't get involved in whatever's about to happen. But she was already involved. She'd been involved the moment she whispered, don't shout. Anna carried Luca's dinner out at 7:45 p.m. The restaurant was full now, normal people having normal Saturday dinners, completely unaware they were sitting in a minefield. As she set down Luca's plate, she noticed something that made her blood run cold. 2 new customers had entered. They sat at the bar, not ordering drinks. Both wore leather jackets despite the indoor heating. Both kept their right hands free. And one of them, dark hair, scar above his left eye, was the man from the alley. The one Tony had chased off. Anna, Luca's voice snapped her attention back. The wine?
Right.
Sorry, she hurried to the bar, her pulse thundering. Behind the bar, Jessica was refilling glasses, oblivious. The 2 new arrivals sat 3 feet away, watching Luca. Anna grabbed a bottle of Chianti, with shaking hands. As she turned back, she saw it, the subtle choreography unfolding around her. The man at table 8 stood and moved toward the bathrooms, passing close to Luca's booth. The man outside crushed his cigarette and entered the restaurant. The 2 at the bar shifted on their stools, hands moving toward their jackets. And through the front window, Anna saw Tony and another bodyguard emerge from the gray SUV, flanking the entrance. "Oh God," she whispered. Luca caught her eye. He gave the smallest shake of his head. "Not yet."
Stay calm.
But calm was impossible. The air itself felt electric, charged with violence waiting to explode. A customer laughed at table 6, oblivious. Silverware clinked at table 3, normal sounds in an abnormal moment. The man from the alley stood. His partner at the bar did the same. Outside, Tony's hand disappeared under his jacket. Anna's world narrowed to a pinpoint. She saw it all, the angles, the positions, the way everyone was moving like pieces on a chessboard. The restaurant she'd worked in for 3 years had transformed into something alien and terrifying. This wasn't Bellini's anymore. This was a battlefield waiting for the first shot. Luca took a deliberate bite of his dinner, completely relaxed. But his eyes never left the bar. "Anna?" Jessica appeared at her elbow. "You okay? You look." "Get in the kitchen," Anna's voice came out flat.
Now.
"Tell Marco to send everyone to the walk-in cooler. Say there's a..." The front door burst open. 3 men in dark suits entered, moving with military precision. And Anna recognized the one in front from the photos she'd Googled after her first meeting with Luca. Anthony Russo, head of the Russo family. The real war had just walked through the door. Anthony Russo didn't sit down. He stood in the entrance of Bellini's like he owned it, flanked by his men, and smiled.
Luca Marino.
Having dinner in public. How brave. The restaurant went silent. Customers looked up from their meals, sensing the shift in atmosphere even if they didn't understand it. Luca set down his fork carefully. "Anthony, I don't recall inviting you." Funny thing about public spaces, Russo's smile widened. No invitation needed. Tony appeared in the doorway behind Russo's men, hand inside his jacket. The 2 groups faced each other, a standoff in the middle of a family restaurant. Anna pressed herself against the bar, heart hammering. "Gentlemen," Marco's voice cut through the tension. He emerged from the kitchen, wiping his hands on his apron. "I'm going to have to ask you to take this outside. You're disturbing my customers." Russo's eyes flicked to Marco, then to Anna. His gaze lingered on her for a long, calculating moment. "Of course. My apologies," he turned to Luca. "We'll continue this conversation later. Somewhere more private." "Looking forward to it," Luca replied coldly. Russo and his men left. Tony followed them out. The restaurant exhaled collectively. But Anna saw the look Russo had given her. She'd been marked, identified, cataloged as leverage. The rest of the shift passed in a blur of fear and forced normalcy. Customers ate. Dishes were cleared. Jessica kept asking if she was okay until Anna snapped at her to stop. By 11 p.m., the last diners had left. Marco sent Jessica home early and started the closing procedures. Luca had departed an hour ago, leaving a $100 tip and a warning whispered as he passed. "Go straight home tonight. Don't stop anywhere." But restaurants didn't close themselves. Trash needed taking out. Floors needed mopping. The routine couldn't be abandoned just because Anna was terrified. "I've got the trash," Marco said, reading her mind. "You've done it twice already this week." Anna grabbed 2 bags. "I'm not helpless, Marco." "Anna. 2 minutes. That's it." She pushed through the back door before he could argue. The alley was darker than usual. The security light had burned out, leaving only the ambient glow from the street beyond. Anna's breath misted in the cold October air as she heaved the first bag into the dumpster. The second bag was heavier. She struggled with it, grunting as she lifted. A hand clamped over her mouth. Another arm wrapped around her waist, yanking her backward. The trash bag fell, splitting open, garbage spilling across the wet pavement. Anna's scream died against the palm pressed to her lips. She thrashed, but her attacker was strong, dragging her toward a van idling at the alley's mouth. "Stop fighting," a voice hissed in her ear. "Make this easy." "Hell no." Anna's hand found the box cutter in her apron pocket, the one she used for opening cardboard. She yanked it out and slashed backward blindly. The man cursed, his grip loosening. Anna drove her elbow into his ribs and twisted free. Grab her. Another man emerged from behind the dumpster. Anna ran, but the alley was a dead end. Her only escape was past them. She grabbed the dumpster lid and swung it open, metal crashing. The first attacker lunged. She sidestepped and kicked, her sneaker connecting with his knee. He stumbled. But the second man was faster. He caught her arm, twisting it behind her back. Pain shot through her shoulder. "Stop," he snarled. "We just want to talk." "Liar." Anna stomped on his instep, grabbed a broken bottle from the ground, and swung. Glass shattered against his forearm. He released her with a howl. They were herding her toward the van. 2 against 1. She was losing. The first attacker pulled a gun. Headlights flooded the alley. The gray SUV screeched to a halt, blocking the van. Tony emerged like a missile, tackling the armed man before he could aim. The gun skittered across the pavement. The second attacker grabbed Anna again, using her as a shield. His arm locked around her throat, cutting off air. "Back off," he yelled at Tony. "Back off, or I break her neck." Tony froze, hands raised. Anna couldn't breathe. Black spots danced in her vision. She clawed at the arm around her throat. Panic, overwhelming training, instinct, everything. A single gunshot cracked through the alley. The pressure around her neck vanished. Anna collapsed, gasping, as her attacker crumpled behind her. She turned, saw the neat hole in his shoulder, saw him writhing on the ground. Luca stood at the alley entrance, gun raised, face carved from stone. He wasn't the polite customer from the restaurant. Wasn't the businessman in expensive suits. This was someone else entirely, someone capable of pulling a trigger without hesitation. "Get her to the car," he said quietly.
Now.
Tony helped Anna to her feet. Her legs wouldn't work properly. She stumbled, nearly fell. Luca walked past her to the wounded man. Crouched down. Pressed the gun barrel against the man's forehead. "Tell Russo," Luca said, voice devoid of emotion, "that if he comes near her again, I'll burn his entire operation to the ground. Every business. Every safe house. Everyone he loves." He stood. "You have 1 hour to leave Boston. After that, you're a corpse." The man nodded frantically, blood spreading across his shirt. Tony guided Anna to the SUV. She looked back once, saw Luca standing over the 2 attackers, his men arriving to clean up the scene. Saw Marco in the doorway, phone to his ear, face pale. Her world tilted. She'd saved a stranger's life and thought that would be the end. But it wasn't an ending. It was the beginning of something darker, deeper, and infinitely more dangerous than she'd imagined. Lucas slid into the SUV beside her, gun disappearing into his jacket. "Are you hurt?" Anna touched her throat. "It would bruise."
"I'm alive."
"I should have stopped this," fury cracked through his controlled facade. "I should have." "You shot him," her voice sounded distant, strange. "You could have killed him." "I wanted to." He met her eyes, and she saw the truth there. The violence, the rage, the monster beneath the businessman. "I wanted to put a bullet in his brain for touching you." Anna should have been terrified. Should have demanded to be let out of the car. Instead, she understood. The danger wasn't hypothetical anymore. It was real. It was bloody. It was inescapable. And she was already drowning in it. Luca's house wasn't what Anna expected. She'd imagined something out of a movie, marble columns, gaudy fountains, gold, everything. Instead, Tony drove them to a modest brownstone in Beacon Hill, tucked between doctors' offices and law firms. Elegant, but understated. A place that blended in. Inside was different. Security cameras, reinforced doors, windows that Anna suspected were bulletproof. The living room looked normal, leather couch, bookshelves, a chess set on a side table. But the basement door was steel. "Sit," Luca gestured to the couch. "You want water? Something stronger?" "Answers," Anna's voice shook. "I want answers." Luca poured 2 glasses of whiskey anyway, pressed one into her hand.
Drink.
You're in shock. She was. Her hands trembled so badly, the whiskey sloshed. The bruises on her throat were already darkening, and every time she swallowed, she felt phantom hands choking her. They tried to kidnap me, the words came out flat. Disconnected. They wanted leverage. If they'd gotten you into that van, Luca's jaw clenched. They would have used you to force me into negotiating territory. And when I refused, because I would have refused, they'd have killed you to make a point. Anna downed the whiskey in one burning gulp. This is insane. This entire situation is insane. I'm a waitress. I serve pasta. I'm not supposed to be part of mob wars and kidnappings, and her voice cracked. Luca sat beside her, careful to maintain distance. I know. And I'm sorry. I've tried to protect you without involving you, but clearly that's not working. So what now? I hide in your house forever? Get a new face and move to Seattle? Bitter laughter bubbled up. I can't do this, Luca. I can't live like this. I know, he leaned forward, elbows on his knees. Which is why we need to end it. Anna looked at him. Really looked. He had blood on his sleeve, not his own. His eyes were exhausted, ringed with shadows. This war was destroying him too. How? She asked quietly. There's one more, Luca's voice hardened. The Russos have one more assassin in Boston. Professional. Expensive. They're saving him for when I least expect it. How do you know? Because I have people inside their organization. And they have people inside mine. He met her eyes. This assassin, his name is Dmitry Volkov. Former Russian military. He specializes in close-range kills.
Quiet. Clean.
Efficient. Anna's stomach dropped. And you think he's coming for you? No. Luca's expression turned grim. I think he's coming for you. The room spun. What? Think about it. Every time they've tried to take me out directly, they've failed.
But you?
You're unprotected. Vulnerable. If Volkov kills you, it sends a message. No one around me is safe. It demoralizes my people. Makes me look weak. He stood pacing. Russo is changing tactics. He's going after my humanity instead of my body. So, I'm bait, Anna's voice was hollow. That's what you're saying. That's what you already are. Luca turned to face her. The difference is whether we use it strategically or wait for him to strike on his terms. You want me to, what? Walk around like a target and hope your guys are faster than a professional assassin. No, Luca pulled out a tablet, opening floor plans. Bellini's restaurant. I want to control the environment. Volkov will expect you to be at work, your normal routine. We use that. Set the trap at the restaurant when we know he's coming. Anna stared at the screen. You want to turn Bellini's into an ambush. I want to end this war before anyone else gets hurt, his voice softened. But I need your help. Volkov is smart. He'll sense a trap if anything feels off. It needs to look normal, which means you need to act normal. Work your shift. Serve tables. Trust that we'll be there. Trust, Anna laughed bitterly. You're asking me to trust that I won't end up with a bullet in my head. Yes. The honesty stunned her.
No platitudes.
No false promises. Just the brutal truth. And if I say no, she asked, then we'll find another way. It'll take longer. More people will get caught in the crossfire. Luca closed the tablet. But I won't force you. This has to be your choice. Anna stood, walking to the window. Outside, Beacon Hill was quiet, expensive cars, historical plaques, tourists taking photos. Normal people living normal lives. She thought about Jessica, scared and confused. Marco, lying to protect her. The elderly woman who complained about soup temperatures. All the innocent people who came to Bellini's just to eat dinner. How many more? She asked quietly. What? How many more people get hurt if this keeps going? If you and Russo keep fighting, how many innocent people end up in the crossfire? Luca was silent for a long moment. Too many. Anna touched the bruises on her throat. She'd tried to stay uninvolved. Tried to just do her job, keep her head down, survive. But survival wasn't enough anymore. The Russos had come into her restaurant, her ally, her life. They'd put hands on her, threatened her. She was done being a victim. Okay, she turned to face Luca. I'll do it. But not because I trust you. Not because I'm part of your world. I'm doing this so everyone else can go back to normal. Something shifted in Luca's expression. Surprise, respect, maybe something deeper. You're braver than most of my soldiers. I'm terrified, Anna corrected. But I'm more tired than scared. Tired of running. Tired of looking over my shoulder. She moved closer.
So tell me the plan.
All of it. No lies. No protection. If I'm bait, I deserve to know exactly how this trap works. Luca studied her for a long moment, then nodded. Sit down. This is going to take a while. They spent the next 3 hours planning. Luca laid out every detail, positions, timing, signals. His men would be disguised as customers. Tony would be in the kitchen. The windows would have sharpshooters across the street. And Anna would be the spider in the center of the web, serving tables and waiting for a killer. As midnight approached, Luca walked her to the door. You can still change your mind. I won't, Anna met his eyes. Just promise me one thing. What? When this is over, when Volkov is caught and Russo backs off, you let me disappear. Back to my normal life. No more bodyguards. No more envelopes full of cash. No more of this. Luca's expression was unreadable. I promise. She didn't believe him. But she also didn't have a choice. The war was ending. One way or another. Tuesday night. Bellini's was half full, enough customers to look normal, but not so crowded that civilians would be caught in crossfire. Anna tied her apron with steady hands. The fear was still there, coiled in her stomach, but she'd made peace with it. Tonight ended one way or another. You okay? Marco asked quietly.
No.
But I will be, she grabbed her order pad. Let's get this over with. Luca's men were positioned throughout the restaurant. Table 3, an older couple who were actually Tony and another bodyguard in disguise. The businessman at the bar nursing bourbon. The maintenance worker who'd been fixing the bathroom light for an hour. Luca himself sat in his usual corner booth, reading a newspaper like this was any other evening. Anna started her shift, took orders, delivered food, smiled at customers who had no idea they were sitting in a carefully orchestrated trap. 8:47 p.m. The front door opened. A man entered, mid-40s, gray sport coat, carrying a leather messenger bag. He looked like a professor, wire-rimmed glasses, slightly rumpled, forgettable face. He requested a table by the window. Anna's instinct screamed. Too normal. Too carefully average. She watched him from the corner of her eye as she refilled water glasses. He ordered coffee and tiramisu, opened his messenger bag, and pulled out a laptop. Started typing. Perfectly ordinary. Except his eyes. They swept the room with military precision, cataloging exits, counting staff, measuring distances. Dmitry Volkov. Anna's heart hammered, but she kept moving. Clearing plates at table 5. Laughing at a customer's joke. Normal. She had to look normal. She passed Luca's booth, adjusting her tray. Their eyes met for a fraction of a second. Anna gave the smallest nod. Luca's hand moved to his coffee cup, the signal. Everything happened fast. The couple at table 3 stood simultaneously. The businessman at the bar moved toward the window. The maintenance worker emerged from the bathroom. Dimitri's hand dove into his messenger bag. Gun! Tony shouted. Customers screamed. Tables overturned. Anna dropped her tray and dove behind the host's stand as the world exploded into chaos. But Dmitri didn't pull a weapon. He grabbed a phone and pressed a button. Click. Nothing happened. Dimitri's eyes widened in genuine surprise. He looked at the phone, then at Luca, and suddenly laughed, a sharp, bitter sound. Clever, he said in a thick Russian accent. You found the bomb. Anna's blood turned to ice.
Bomb.
Under your car, Luca said calmly, standing. Disabled 3 hours ago. Did you really think we wouldn't check? Dmitri raised his hands slowly. Worth a try, his eyes found Anna. You are the waitress. The one who sees everything. Tony and two other men surrounded him, weapons drawn. They zip-tied his hands with brutal efficiency. But Dmitri kept talking. You know what's funny? Russo didn't send me to kill her, he nodded toward Anna. He sent me to recruit her. Anna's breath caught. What? You saved Marino's life. You're observant.
Brave.
Resourceful, Dmitri smiled. Russo wanted to offer you money, real money, to be his eyes inside Marino's world. Said a woman like you was wasted serving pasta. The room went silent. And if I refused? Anna asked quietly. Then I had permission to kill you. But honestly, Dmitri shrugged as Tony dragged him toward the back exit. I think you would have said yes. Everyone has a price. He was gone before Anna could respond. The restaurant emptied quickly. Luca's men clearing witnesses, Marco ushering out traumatized customers with promises of free meals. Within 20 minutes, only Anna and Luca remained. She sat at the bar, hands shaking. He's wrong. I wouldn't have. I know, Luca poured 2 whiskeys, sliding one to her. But Russo was right about one thing. You are wasted serving pasta. Anna looked up. What are you saying? I'm saying you have a choice now. A real one. Luca leaned against the bar. Walk away. I'll honor my promise. Protection until Russo backs down, then you're free. Back to your normal life. Or you stay. His voice was careful. Measured. Not as bait. Not as a victim. As someone who understands this world and chooses to be part of it anyway. He paused. I could use someone who sees things others miss. Someone brave enough to whisper warnings instead of running. Anna's mind raced. She thought about her apartment, her mom, her simple life of shifts and bills and exhaustion. She thought about tonight, the fear, yes, but also the clarity, the purpose, the feeling that she'd actually mattered for once. If I stay, she said slowly, I'm not your employee. I'm not your asset. Then what are you? Anna met his eyes. Your partner. Equal stake. Equal say. You want my eyes and my instincts? Then you trust me completely. A smile tugged at Luca's mouth.
Deal.
She took the whiskey glass, holding it up. To terrible decisions and dangerous partnerships. Luca clinked his glass against hers. To the waitress who saved my life. To the mafia boss who gave me a choice. They drank. Outside, Boston glittered, dangerous and beautiful and full of shadows. Anna had stepped into those shadows willingly, not because she had to, because she chose to. And for the first time in years, she felt fully, terrifyingly alive.